Yo, what's up viewers, it's your boy Blaze Hollow coming at you again with another What If. This time I'll bring you What If Deku Had All For One Part 4. But before all that starts, I need to put out a few announcements. My boy Arrow actually released his first video on Blessed Heroes today, so please go and give him some support. Second is, I want to thank all of you for helping getting the main channel to 5K. That was amazing. Ryan really knows what he's doing, and it couldn't be possible without all of our loyal fans. Let's also make some noise because the second channel, Blessed Heroes, actually made 1K this week, and we're all very excited about it. But with all that out of the way, let's start that intro and get into it.
I honestly don't think you can become a hero.
Okay, quick recap. In the last part, we were dealing with the battle with Gigantomachia, and it turned out he wasn't a bad guy. He was just misunderstood like most villains in this world. Izuku then explained that he was a successor of All For One, showing him some of his power and how he can actually help better the world. Gigantomachia actually decided to give him a flyer for an underground fight club that would help him get strength and maybe some followers afterwards. But sadly, Gigantomachia had to be captured by the police and sent to prison, even if he really didn't do anything that bad. Izuku then told Shinso about everything, and they decided that on the weekend that they would go to this underground fight club. Now with the recap done, let's get into the actual part. A couple of days have passed, and it's finally the weekend. As Izuku and Shinso were getting ready to sneak out of the house, knowing that tonight was the night of the fight club, they put on the disguises that they made themselves as they text each other, letting each other know when their families were finally asleep. As soon as they got the signal, they headed out to the park where their rendezvous would be. They were easily able to spot each other because they had the same idea for their disguise, just a big trench coat. Izuku just had a big grin on his face. Looks like we had the same idea about the trench coat, huh? Shinso just started laughing as he handed Izuku a mask. Here, we're going to wear these masks just like the flyer told us so we can keep our identity a secret. Hopefully they still let us in even though we look very young. Izuku then just put on the mask that Shinso handed him. I'm not worried, they're villains anyway. They probably would get a kick out of watching us get beat around and tortured by other villains. Quick editor's note, if you don't mind Ryan, please put an image of the mask on the screen. Shinso got a chill down his spine as he started shaking his head trying to snap himself out of it. I really don't know how to feel about that statement. What happens if they truly expect us to fight to the death? Do we plan to actually kill these people? Izuku quickly put his hand on Shinso's shoulder, trying to get him to calm down. Of course not, I'll just take their powers and practically make them useless, and then we can just knock them out. Shinso started to cheer up as soon as he heard that statement. Do you really think that we'll be able to find a new quirk for me? Izuku just started laughing. Easily, if you find something that you like, let me know and it's yours. Both of the boys just head to their destination, making sure that no one followed them. As best as they could, as soon as they got within a few feet of the building, they spotted heavy security right in front of the door. As they both walked up, the security guards stopped them. Can we help you, kids? Izuku started thinking about what to say because he didn't want Shinso to have to use his brainwashing quirk. Gigantomachia sent me as the Prince of the Underground. The security guard was actually surprised to hear this statement as they both looked at each other and then back at the kids. If that's true, then what's the name of the true king of the underworld? Izuku took a deep breath with no hesitation, then looked at both of the guards. It's All For One, the one who stole and gave quirks to those who he deemed worthy to be called his allies. The security guards were completely shocked to hear this statement, especially from a little kid, knowing that all of this was secret information on the underground. As they stepped out of the way, making sure not to get in Izuku's way. Do know this, kid. As soon as you step through these doors, your safety is completely sacrificed. This is a place where people usually come in and usually don't come out. Both of the boys nod as they go through the doors, realizing that it is a stairwell instead of an actual building, leading to an underground warehouse. When they get halfway down the stairs, Shinso grabs a hold of Izuku's shoulder and asks him to stop. You know, I could have just used my quirk to make them let us in. You didn't have to go and tell everybody about your situation. Izuku just smiles at him as he takes his hand off and just turns to look at him. I know, but now they'll spread the word to their superiors and they'll bring up their good fighters tonight. We're here to get new powers and skills so we can become better fighters for the future of humanity as heroes. Shinso let out a heavy sigh as he just shook his head in annoyance. It's our first night and you're already trying to get us killed. Izuku had a big smirk on his face. full of excitement for what's going to be happening tonight. Maybe it's my predecessor talking inside of my thoughts, but I think it's a lot more fun this way. They finally get to the bottom of the stairs where they see a lot of heavy hitters of villains from all different types of organizations. The area seemed to be divided between the high-ranking groups to the low-ranking groups. When they finally stop looking around their room, they notice a gigantic man coming towards them, wearing nothing but a t-shirt and black jeans, while also wearing a plague doctor mask with red hair. You must be the newcomers. I haven't seen you here before. What organization are you connected to? Shinso raised an eyebrow at his question, trying to keep himself calm and cool, even though he was scared on the inside. That depends on who's asking. The mysterious man got a smirk on his face, actually liking the kid's attitude. I'm one of the bosses of this underground fight club. If you wish to fight here, I need to get some information about you for my boss. Izuku stepped forward, feeling like he was in his element dealing with these situations. Does a man named Gigantomachia ring any bells to you? The man was completely shocked to think that a bunch of kids were being sent by the League of Villains. So he sent you. That means you're with the Dark King of the Underworld. Allow me to escort you to the VIP section. Once you get there, you can actually meet with the boss. He will give you more information. Shinso started to get an uneasy feeling, thinking that this was going way too easy. Before we go anywhere, what should we be expecting tonight, and who are you? The man looked down at Shinso as he was rubbing the back of his neck. Oh, my bad, I forgot to introduce myself. My name's Rappa. As for what's going on tonight, we're going to be having a gigantic tournament. The winner gets $1 million plus a one request from the boss himself within his power. Both of the boys' minds were blown just thinking about having that kind of money. As they followed Rappa into the VIP section, which had a lot of security. When they finally get into the room, they noticed that it was nice, had an open view of the ring with perfectly clean and crystal clear glass to have the perfect view. When they looked around the room, they see that the place was perfectly furnished with fancy attire. Also, the place looked squeaky clean, like dust or any kind of dirt never existed, and if it did, it was automatically destroyed from how clean the room was. When they finally pulled themselves out of the trance of the room, they actually noticed that someone was sitting on the couch who had black hair and a green jacket on, which had purple feathers on it. When you got up close, you could actually see that he was wearing a black dress shirt with a white tie and blue jeans with a pair of white gloves and white sneakers. But the weirdest thing about his entire outfit is that he was wearing a plague doctor's mask that hid his face. Rappa then stepped forward, trying to get the boss's attention. I brought you the guest that you predicted that would be here, sir. The man then turned around to face the kids, giving off a menacing aura. So you're the one who took down Gigantomachia. It's a pleasure to meet you. The man then proceeded to get up from the couch and stand over the two boys. Izuku then stood in front of his friend Shinso, making sure that he would be safe. And so what if I am? Don't think just because you're the boss I'm going to respect you. Overhaul just started laughing in amusement. There is no need to be worried. I'm actually a big fan of what you did. My name's Overhaul, and I'm the leader of the Saikai. Who exactly are you? Shinso then came out from behind his friend to make sure that they could stand right next to each other. You can call me Mindwipe. Overhaul raised an eyebrow, not recognizing the name of the villain. Interesting. Am I to assume that your name comes from something to do with your quirk? Shinso just looked at Overhaul blankly. I am under no obligation to answer that question. Overhaul was just so surprised to see a little 10-year-old actually speak to him the way he did. Fair enough, I guess. And what about you? As he looked over at Izuku. Izuku thought about it for a second, thinking that he can come up with some kind of weird name, but then his predecessor spoke to him and told him to use his name. I am all for one. Overhaul was a little bit skeptical about hearing what the little child just said, as he steps away from both of the boys and goes to the minibar to make himself a drink. Sorry if I'm a little bit skeptical, but last I heard All for One was a grown man who was able to make anyone bend to his will and feared no one. Izuku started to get worried, realizing that this could end up going badly if this guy doesn't believe him. Well, would you believe that I'm his successor? Overhaul finished making his drink as he went back over to the couch and sat down. That I will believe. If you tried to tell me you were the actual person, I would tell you that you're a liar. But if you tell me that you're a successor, that's another thing altogether. Izuku took a deep breath, finally feeling some weight coming off his shoulder. Well, I'm glad you can at least believe me. Now, how do I join your tournament? I'm here for one reason and one reason only. Overhaul started to get annoyed with the little kid's attitude. It's easy. All you have to bet is some money. Everybody does it here before the tournament starts. but I'm guessing since you're a child, you don't really have that much to offer. Rappa then steps forward. Well, boss, it seems like only one of them actually wants to fight. Why not let the little successor in the tournament, as long as he bets his friend's life? If he wins, he gets to walk away with all the winnings and his friend. Izuku was completely enraged hearing this idea from Rappa. Do you honestly believe that I would bet my best friend? Are you crazy? Rappa just scratched the back of his neck, not knowing what to say to the kid. Well, you have to understand, kid, we don't just let people walk in and out and do whatever they feel like. Everyone brings a fighter, and someone has to be their manager, who watches over you, so don't think that you're going to be able to leave here without a fight. Overhaul just sat up a little bit more from the couch as he continued to drink his wine. How about I make things a little bit more interesting? If you're able to win the tournament, not only will I let you and your friend walk free, along with the prize, but I'll also throw in one of my precepts of death of your choice, and you can do whatever it is you feel like doing with that person. But if you lose, not only do I win your friend, but I will also win you as a servant, and you'll do whatever I tell you to do until your dying breath. So tell me, do we have a deal? Shinzo seemed to have enough of this entire conversation as he just got right in front of Overhaul and stepped right on his shoe. When All for One wins, not only will we be taking this place from you, but we'll run you out of business. We may be young, but we're very strong. Overhaul got extremely annoyed seeing that the kid stepped onto his shoes, as he picks up Shinzo and throws him right into the glass as hard as he could. You got a lot of spunk, kid. Not many people actually have the nerve to step on my shoe, and those who do usually are dead. But since I need you alive for this entire thing to work, you get a pass for now. Overhaul then turns his head to look at Izuku very angrily. Now you really don't get a choice in the matter. You either fight or die. Izuku gets completely angry as he just watched his best friend be thrown like a rag doll, as his eyes go from green to crimson red and his hair changes completely white with green spots in the middle of it. If you like living, I would make sure that never happens again. Sure, I'll fight, but I'll make sure that everyone remembers tonight. Overhaul was a little bit blown back by this intimidation of Izuku's, but on the other hand, Rappa was starting to get excited because he knew this kid was going to be in the tournament, and there was a chance he might get to fight him. Izuku then went over to Shinzo and helped him into a chair to check to see if he was okay. Once he was able to find out that he was completely fine, Rappa took Izuku and himself downstairs to where the other fighters are. Seeing that everyone was separated, not wanting to communicate with one another, the tension seemed to be so thick it felt like if you shot a bullet in the room it would just ricochet off of it. Izuku then looked up at Rappa. So, how does this work exactly? Do we wait to be called into the ring, or is there going to be a tournament bracket posted somewhere on the wall? Rappa then just looked down at the small boy. Actually, all the matches here are placed at random. Everybody that you see here could end up fighting multiple times, or at least just once. There are some occasions where certain people actually end up fighting the entire tournament and just have to keep on going until the finals. It really just depends on how lucky you are. Izuku just smiled hearing this. I see. Well, if you ask me, I hope to get to fight multiple times. Rappa actually got very excited hearing this answer. Really now, why is that? You would think that with someone in your situation that you would want to fight the least. Izuku had a menacing grin on his face and an aura of maliciousness. I'll tell you this because I feel like you're an honorable fighter. Every time that I fight, I'll be getting stronger. Overhaul finally addresses the guests of the Fight Club over the intercom, explaining that they will be having a special tournament tonight and that it's going to be winner takes all. Killing is allowed and we allow you to do whatever it takes to win. The only rule here is that we do not allow anybody outside of the ring to help and assist you. If we find out that you are cheating from outside of the ring, you will be attacked with a warning shot. But if we find out that you're trying to do it again, you will be killed on the spot. As he finished explaining this, he pointed to a giant digital board, revealing the names of the first match. As the screen reveals the names to be All for One and a person named Pinpoint to step into the ring. As both fighters step into the ring, the crowd starts to go into an uproar, excited for the first match. Izuku stepped out wearing his green trench coat, while still having his mask over his face. Editor's note, if you actually want to see what he fully looks like, just go look at the thumbnail, or hopefully someone will just put it on the screen right now. As his opponent Pinpoint steps out, he was wearing a pair of white pants with a red shirt. He also had on a bunch of math equations on his jacket, with fingerless gloves and pale skin, and had no pupils in his eyes. Pinpoint then just looked at his opponent and just started laughing like a madman. This has to be a joke. There's no way that this small child is All for One. I also can't believe that they let such a small kid into this fight club. Don't you know that this place is full of villains? Shouldn't you go run home to your mommy? Izuku just looked at the man confused as he tilted his head. Weird, I don't feel like I'm in a ring with a bunch of villains. I feel like I'm in a ring with a madman who doesn't know how to actually contain himself. Pinpoint just looks at the kid with a grin, actually thinking that this might be enjoyable. This is going to be fun, kid. I can't wait to be throwing you across the ring. The intercom then turned back on, having Overhaul's voice come through it. No more talking. Now let the match begin! Izuku then got into a fighting stance, pointing both of his hands outwards, but then he noticed that Pinpoint didn't even come running at him. Instead, he was pointing his pinky finger at a tile and tapped it, leaving a red dot as he started to stand back up. He then looked at Izuku with a big grin on his face as he started to charge at him. Don't think that you'll be able to avoid me, kid. I've had years of experience fighting against fighters who are twice your age. Izuku just allowed Pinpoint to come within 5 feet of him as he shot him with the air cannon, but without him actually realizing that Pinpoint was able to tap him on the wrist, leaving a red dot right there. As he watched Pinpoint fly across the ring, slamming into the wall. It's weird, you act like your power gives you some kind of enhancement in strength, but yet I sent you flying across the ring like it was nothing. Pinpoint fell from the wall as he landed on his knees from the concussion force of the wind blast, but then he just started laughing like he was hearing some kind of funny joke. You don't understand, kid. My quirk's power has now been set up perfectly. He then connects his pinky finger with his index finger. As soon as that happened, the tile that he touched with his pinky finger started to come out of the ground and head right for Izuku. But at the same time, Izuku had this weird pulling sensation like it was trying to force him towards the tile. As Izuku was trying to fight against it, the tile came rocketing right at him. This caught him completely off guard as the tile came in contact, slamming him right into the ground and nearly breaking his wrist. As he slammed into the ring, feeling badly injured, Pinpoint just started laughing. That's my quirk known as Connect the Dots. Each finger can be set up as a pinpoint for where I want it to go as long as there are 2 actual points to it. People can usually know what is marked because I leave a red dot with whatever I decide to come in contact with. If I were to say there was a problem with my quirk, is that I actually have to come in contact with something with one of my fingers and then have another finger touch another thing. Also, there's a major weight problem, is that I can't lift something over my own body weight. Editor's note, please put the name of the person who came up with this quirk, because it was a very good idea and I plan on doing a lot of things with it later in the story. Izuku tried to catch his breath as he was trying to get back onto his feet. Interesting, that actually could be a pretty useful quirk. I hope you don't mind that I plan on taking it from you. As Izuku finally got back onto his feet, he started to brush himself off with a big smile on his face, acting like he wasn't hurt, as he made a clone of himself as they stood back to each other. I hope that you don't find this cheating that I use my multiply quirk. But you know, I wanted to propose a question to you about your quirk. What would happen if the dot was actually split apart with some clone and the original? Would the object still go flying towards the original, or would it go flying towards the clone? But there's always the chance that the object will split in 2 and go after both pinpoints instead of just going after one. Pinpoint was actually very startled seeing this. Wait, you don't just have a one-style quirk, you have a multiplying quirk? Izuku just had a big grin on his face. Well, that and many more. Both Izuku and his clone started running around the ring in different directions, trying to confuse Pinpoint, until they got close, expecting some kind of backlash. They realized that Pinpoint was freaking out and trying to run away. How pitiful. Say goodbye to your quirk. As the clone tackled Pinpoint, getting him down to the ground, the real Izuku came up to Pinpoint and put his hand right on his face and then stole his quirk. As soon as that was done, Izuku left the unconscious villain on the floor, letting his clone fade away. The intercom then switched on as Overhaul's voice came through. Winner of the match is All For One. Please head back down to the waiting room for your next match. Izuku then looked over at Overhaul's box to see if his friend was okay, actually seeing that he was getting medical attention for what happened to him, as Izuku went downstairs feeling a little bit weird about having this new quirk inside of his system, as everyone else in the waiting room was actually trying to avoid him the best they could after seeing what Izuku did in the match. All except for one girl who was wearing a black mask with a neon lights on it. She was also wearing a pair of long red gloves that went all the way up her forearm, only for a little bit of her skin to be showing that had a pink tint to it. She also had on a skin-tight bodysuit that was having leopard print all over it, and on her feet she had a pair of combat boots that looked like they were carved out of stone. That's an amazing trick you have there. Did you really steal that man's quirk? Izuku smiled as he playfully put his pointer finger on his right hand to his forehead, and then put the pointer finger on his left hand to her forehead. He then playfully put the 2 fingers together and had both of their foreheads come into contact with each other gently. Yes, I did. Also, you look good in neon lights, my acid queen. Mina was completely shocked that she was found out so easily. How did you know it was me? I tried my best to make sure I hide who I really am here. Izuku just laughed a little bit. I didn't know for sure. All I was able to go off of was a little bit of your skin showing, which was pink. So I took a wild guess, and I was right. Mina was giving off a little bit of a pouting face throughout her mask. Dang it, I gotta make sure that I fix this costume so no one can see my skin at all. Anyway, why are you here? I didn't think that you'd be the kind of person who does this kind of underground match stuff. Izuku took a step back and looking at her, really confused by her statement. I could say the same thing to you, but to answer your question, I came here under special conditions. And now I'm fighting for my friend's life. While they were having this conversation, the next match was going on. After about 15 minutes, a name came over the intercom asking for Alien Queen and a man named Muscular. As soon as the announcement was done, a blonde man wearing a t-shirt and a pair of blue jeans as he walked over to the ring, as he was giving off an aura of pure bloodlust and excitement for this fight. Mina, on the other hand, actually was extremely worried, knowing Muscular's reputation for killing most of his opponents. Izuku then grabbed onto Mina's hand, trying to give her some comfort. Listen, it's okay to forfeit. I'll be right there at the entrance of the ring just in case he tries to kill you or do any serious damage. I will jump in and make sure that he regrets ever hurting you. Mina just smiled as she took off her mask along with Izuku's and gave him a quick kiss. They both looked into each other's eyes and gave each other a quick hug. Okay, I trust you. You've been my guardian angel for so long, and I really appreciate it. They then both put back on their mask as they get ready to go into position for whatever was about to happen. As both Mina and Muscular got into position, ready for Overhaul to start the fight. As the intercom turned on, all they could hear is, "Let the match begin." Both fighters charge at each other, Mina using her agility to try to stay out of Muscular's reach. But unfortunately for her, Muscular has dealt with opponents like this before and uses his muscle fibers to grab her leg and start slamming her back and forth onto the ground. Come on, kid, you had such great energy before about fighting people, but now that you're going up against a real monster, now you're nothing but talk. Muscular just continued to slam her, using his muscle fibers, not even using his real arms until he threw her across the ring, not even letting her catch her breath as she slams into the wall, coughing up blood. Mina was struggling to get off the floor as her vision was very blurry and coughing up a lot of blood. Her arms were shaking, telling her not to even try to get back up. I forfeit the match to you, Muscular. Muscular just started laughing profusely, thinking that he just heard another funny joke out of these kids. Do you really think there's such a thing as forfeit here? You're going to die. It's very rare that opponents get to leave the ring. Muscular started walking right towards her, getting ready to end her life. Izuku, finally having enough of all this, steps into the ring and shoots Muscular right in the back with a high-pressure wind cannon, as he sends Muscular flying right into the wall, making a major indent of his body. Touch her again and I'll kill you. This match is over. Muscular comes out of the wall shaking his head, even though he was a little bit stunned from the sneak attack to his back. That's it, kid. You just stepped in front of the line. I'm going to kill you for what you just did. The intercom turns on, getting everyone's attention as Overhaul gets everyone to look at him. I think we have a little bit of an interesting challenge here. Why don't we have the two of you fight right now and not have anybody wait any longer, while we have the medical team get that girl off of the ring floor and get checked out. The medical team quickly came out and got Mina off of the floor and into a medical bed as soon as possible, as both Muscular and Izuku stared each other down, ready to kill each other for what just happened. The tension between them was so sharp that you could feel like you could cut it with a knife. Izuku was the first to break the silence as he blasted air into the sky, getting everyone's attention. I am one usually refusing to kill people, but when it comes to you, Muscular, I think I'm going to break my vow. Alien Queen was ready to give up, yet you still wanted to continue to fight to murder her. Muscular just had a big smirk on his face, waiting for the kid to say anything else, but when he realized he was going to stay quiet, he just started to speak up. Of course I was going to kill her. What did you expect? This place is filled with nothing but death. This isn't just some kind of playground. We're fighting in a place for our lives, where only the strong survive and the weak get killed. So make sure to throw away all your morals and come at me with everything you got, because I'll make sure that I kill you quickly. Overhaul was making sure to watch over this match really closely, feeling interested to see how these people's morals and ideals will truly shape each other. Alrighty then, with no further delays, let the match begin. Muscular was the first one to move as he started covering his body in muscle fibers and charging right at Izuku. Izuku just dodged out of the way as he started running around the arena, multiplying, making an extra clone than he usually does, leaving one of them on the right side of the ring and the other one on the left, while the main Izuku actually stays in the middle. Muscular started getting annoyed as he watched all the clones separate. What is this? Are you going to try to use numbers against me? Don't be foolish, boy. You're still young, so your strength is nothing compared to mine. All three clones of Izuku started laughing as they put their hands to their face, not believing what Muscular just told them. "You're completely stupid. You realize that I have the power to take quirks, right? But now you have to figure out which one of the clones actually has it, that power to steal your quirk, which one has the power to control the wind, and which one has the ability to just make more clones. So now it's basically just a guessing game. If you get it wrong, I'll end up taking your quirk. If you get it right, you probably will win." Muscular got even more excited as he started charging at the clone on the right. When he got within 2 feet, he was shot with a wind cannon, but the clone got surprised as muscle fibers started wrapping around his hand, making sure that the wind couldn't fully escape, which caused a major feedback, which caused a big explosion within the clone's arm, causing it to erupt into a puff of smoke and damaged Muscular's right arm as it broke apart. The 2 remaining Izukus actually had to beat a sweat on their face as they both just wiped their brows. "Yikes, I'm glad that was a clone. Now I know to be careful at close range using the air cannon, or else I could end up dealing with a lot of feedback and destroy myself." While Muscular was dealing with the fact that his arm was completely broken from the explosion, one of the clones of Izuku actually got on his knees and started red dots on different parts of the tiles so he could start setting up for his new quirk Connect the Dots. The clone then charged in and making sure that he put his full hand on Muscular's back. Muscular tried to swing at him with his good arm, but the clone was able to get out of reach before coming in contact. Muscular started to get even more aggravated, knowing that his dominant arm is completely destroyed and that he's at a major disadvantage. "You little brat, when I get my hands on you, I'm going to break you in 2. Izuku had a complete smirk on his face as he just looked at Muscular. "I'm sorry to tell you, but this match is already over," as Izuku just pointed over to his clone. Muscular then looked at the clone as he put both of his hands together, as tiles come out from the floor flying at him at massive speeds. Muscular was lucky to be able to break at least 2 of the tiles, but the other 3 came smacking right into him, so hard that he ended up being knocked out. "Your quirk is actually pretty useful. I'll be taking it from you so you can no longer harm any innocent people with it ever again." All the villains who were watching from the stands were actually cheering out in excitement watching this little kid fight Muscular and anybody who comes against him, as Izuku takes Muscular's quirk and leaving the ring to go back downstairs. Meanwhile, up in Overhaul's VIP box, Overhaul was just overjoyed watching everything. "This kid is working out even better than I thought. No one thought that he would be able to get past the first round, but now he's actually beating some of our best fighters. The bets just keep on getting better and better. I truly have to thank that kid for all this." Overhaul then looked over at Shinso. "If it wasn't for the fact that I'm holding you captive, he probably would have never fought as hard as he is now. I now truly believe that he will win this tournament and become a great business ally to work with in the future." Shinso just snickered at hearing that comment. "I wouldn't get your hopes up. We both plan to become heroes. We came here to take power away from the villains." Overhaul then just looked over at Shinso with a smile on his face. "I stand by my comment because you're taking out my competition, their muscle, and putting fear into their crime bosses, but I guess we'll have to see what truly happens after the last 2 fights." Shinso raised an eyebrow at this statement. "You make it sound like these last 2 fighters are your most elite warriors." Overhaul just shrugged his shoulders as he looked right back out at the glass, seeing the ring was completely empty now. "They're not a part of my group, but they are elite fighters here at the Fight Club. They both have unique quirks. One of them has the ability to turn into some ghoul-like creature, while the other one has the ability to turn anything that he touches into gold, and manipulate it at his will like it's his servant. When All For One wins this tournament, not only will he get the prize, but he'll come out with much more power. When that happens, I will do whatever I can within my power to make him one of my allies." Shinso just started laughing uncontrollably. "No matter what you try, he'll never agree to work with you, unless you decide to become a hero and get rid of all the evil stuff that you've been doing." Overhaul puts his hand to his chin and starts thinking about that statement. "Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see." Back in the waiting room, Izuku was looking around seeing that there wasn't many fighters left, only 2 other combatants left. Knowing that this nightmare will soon be over, he knew that he would never want to do something like this ever again. He then noticed in the back of the room that there was the medical beds. When he finally got over there, he saw that Mina was laying in the medical bed, unconscious, connected to a breathing apparatus, while also getting a blood transfusion into her system. Izuku got on his knees as he grabbed onto her hand and gave it a kiss. "God forbid I wasn't here tonight. I probably would have never seen you again. I promise I'll keep you safe and nothing like this will ever happen to you ever again." Izuku then heard footsteps coming from behind him as he noticed a man walking over to them in the medical section of the room. When he turned around, he noticed that it was Overhaul. "I can fix her for you, making this look like it never even happened." Izuku was very skeptical about Overhaul's offer. Let me guess, there's a catch to it all. I would have to sell my soul to you and promise that I would be your undying servant and do whatever you told me until the day I died. Izuku just said all that to him with a sarcastic tone. Overhaul just shakes his head, trying to bite his tongue from being so annoyed on how this kid just talks to him. No, I do not expect anything in return. Just call it a favor of goodwill for all the entertainment that you were able to give off tonight. Izuku looked back at Mina and then back at Overhaul, taking a deep breath, hoping that he wasn't about to regret his decision. If you can fix her, please do, but do know this, if you harm her, I will make sure to hunt you down until your dying breath and destroy any organization that you are connected to and watch it all crumble to the ground. Izuku was actually surprised with what he just said, making it sound like he was becoming a villain. He was shocked as he shook his head. Overhaul then walked over and took off his glove as he put his bare hand on Mina's chest as she disappeared for a few seconds and then reassembled, as her entire body looked good as new. Trust me when I tell you this, kid, I know you have the potential to kill us all here, but you have a good heart. You're the first person with a quirk that I actually don't hate. I need you to promise that you will continue to stick with your guns and your belief and change society for the better. After a couple seconds, Mina finally woke up, confused about the situation, and didn't know what to think as she noticed Izuku. What happened and where am I? Izuku quickly hugged her. Oh my god, I'm so glad that you're okay. I was worried when I saw the medical team take you away. And then just a couple seconds ago I saw you disappear for a few seconds, but luckily you came back. I'm just so happy that you're alive. Mina was even more confused about all this than she was before. Wait, can you slow down a little bit and try to explain it a little bit slower? Izuku explained what happened to her, and especially about the battle with Muscular, and how Overhaul actually fixed her up. After he said that, both of them turned to Overhaul and then bowed in respect and told him thank you for all of his help. He just nods as he walks away. Mina still looked a little bit confused about the situation, especially when it came to Overhaul. You would think someone who's the boss of the Isekai would be a lot more cutthroat, but he actually has a hidden heart of gold. Izuku just laughed a little bit as he just had a big smile on his face as he watched Overhaul walk away and then turned back to face Mina. I have actually learned that some villains can actually be heroes in their own way. It's just that society ends up putting them in a bad spot because they don't agree with each other's ideals. I will make sure that I make this place a stepping stone that will help me become a hero better, and I will make sure that I change society for the better. That way everyone can be treated as equal. Mina was a little bit blown away from his philosophy, but wanted to change the topic. So, is the tournament over? Izuku had a very worried look on his face. No, it's not over. I still have 2 more fights before this could all be over. But I'm starting to get exhausted. I just used my new quirk in the last battle, along with making an extra clone than I usually do. And I'm not going to lie, taking people's quirks actually takes a major toll on my stamina. Mina tried to give a confident smile as she just went over and put her hand on his cheek and then gave him a kiss right on his forehead. If anybody can get through this, it's you. I believe in you, and so does your friend. He's waiting for you to come and rescue him. Izuku just smiled at her. I know, and I don't plan on losing. When I'm done here, maybe me and you can go on a date later to celebrate the fact that we're alive. Mina just smiles at him as her cheeks turn red from blushing. I would like that a lot. The intercom turned on with Overhaul speaking through, asking for the next 2 fighters to come out, which was All For One and the Gold King. As the announcement was being made, both fighters made their way to the ring. When they finally came out of the darkness, the light shined over the ring, revealing the Gold King. He was wearing a golden suit along with a golden top hat with a cane right in his hand. The Gold King just stared at his opponent and actually is still amused that this young little kid was still a part of the fights. Well, young lad, I'm going to show you a dazzling performance. Since I was born with such great power, I will now show you what it means to truly be blessed. Izuku looked at the man, kinda confused and dumbfounded for wearing such a stupid outfit. Has anybody ever told you that you look ridiculous? If you want attention, why don't you just go out to one of the boardwalks and dance around for money? You'll get plenty of attention that way. The Gold King was actually very offended by this statement. You dare speak down to me? You should learn to respect your elders. Overhaul finally making the final announcement before the match was about to begin. This is the semi-final match for the newcomers. Let the battle begin! When the match started, the Gold King put his hand on the ground, touching the ring, turning it into gold. Luckily for Izuku, he was able to get out of the way by jumping into the air by instinct. Luckily for him, he was able to use his wind pressure quirk by releasing small bursts of air to stay hovering in the air, as he watched the entire ring turn into solid gold. Izuku actually had a concerned look on his face, thinking what could have happened if he actually didn't jump into the air. That was close. I was almost consumed by his power and I would have been turned into gold myself. But now that I look at it, I wonder if all this gold is real. Maybe we could resell it to make it a lot of money. The Gold King put his hand up to his mouth with an arrogant little laugh. Of course the gold's real. How do you think I was able to build up my group so easily? Money truly makes the world go round. He then taps his foot on the ground as golden spikes start shooting around the area trying to hit Izuku. Izuku sees the spikes coming as he used mini propulsions to start moving around the ring, but it wasn't really that good because he hasn't practiced doing this that much. This is going to be troublesome. Not only do you control the terrain, but you also seem to do it with so little effort. The Gold King continued to have the spikes chase after Izuku in the air, bending and twisting in many different directions, trying to throw him off. This is due to years of practice. If the room was bigger, I would make a golden golem to fight you instead of having to do this myself. But alas, I will not get to show you my perfection of work. Or if I really need to get physical with you, I could have the gold wrap around me and just make a makeshift armor. All of these lovely skills is thanks to my personal quirk, Gold Touch. Editor's note, please put the name of the person who created this quirk because it's a fantastic idea that I plan to use in many other videos in this series. Izuku tries to think of a way how he's going to get out of this situation. He realizes that he can use a special combination of the new quirks that he just acquired. I may not have years of practice, but I have creativity, muscle augmentation plus connect the dots to create. Izuku's shoulders start to spike out, pointing right at the Gold King as his trench coat rips open, revealing a bunch of flesh needles. As he shoots them off, they start ricocheting off the wall, heading right for the Gold King. This equals flesh needle. Gold King was actually amused, having his gold sweep away the needles in front of him. It's true, that was actually very impressive, but my reaction time is a lot better than yours. As soon as he finishes that statement, he sees that Izuku was able to get behind him using the wind pressure. I commend you, you truly are powerful, but you're too self-absorbed into your own strength, not realizing that I was able to get around you. Izuku's fingers turn into black tendrils with a red grin on them as they inject themselves into the old man, taking away his quirk, having all the gold that was around them fall to the ground like it's a pile of liquid gold. I'm sorry to tell you this, Gold King, but your reign has come to an end. Gold King just drops to the ground completely drained. I see now, that needle technique of yours wasn't meant to harm me, it was meant to distract me. Very clever. Well, it looks like you were a better king than me. I hope you enjoy my power and make it into something truly magnificent. He finally passes out as the medical team actually takes him away. Izuku was a little bit winded as he started to stumble a bit. Thank you, I'll make sure to take this power and make it into something that people can truly appreciate. He then drops to his knees, breathing even heavier, like the wind was just knocked out of him. I hope they give us a break. If I have to fight right away, I'm going to get myself killed. Overhaul noticed the state of Izuku as he got up from his VIP box and grabbed the microphone. There will be a 30-minute rest break before the final match. The remaining competitors do whatever it takes to get your stamina back by getting something to eat, drink, or maybe get a few seconds of sleep. Shinso was so confused on why Overhaul was actually allowing this break to happen. I don't understand you. You could literally take my friend out right now and you wouldn't have to worry about him. Why do you continue to put these fights in his favor? Overhaul just shaked his head thinking that Shinso was so naive. It's because I want your friend to win, and I actually haven't been rigging any of the fights. Your friend won all of his fights on his own. But I did tell you before, I do want him to become one of my allies. In the medical bay, Izuku was getting help from the medical team into the sick bay so he could lay down on one of the gurneys and just get some rest as Mina came running over to him. Oh my god, I was so worried about watching the match. I thought it was going to end a lot worse than it did. Izuku just looked at her as he started coughing badly. No, that technique that I used was very dangerous. It was a big gamble. I actually lost 5% of my body weight by sacrificing some of my muscle to make those needles. If it didn't work and he was actually able to get a hold of me, I would be dead right now. I'm not going to even try to act like I'm confident about this next match. Mina was actually getting very concerned hearing that statement. Do you think you'll actually be able to get back to full strength in 30 minutes? Because the next fighter that you're going up against is one of the strongest people here. He's known as the Crimson King. Izuku actually had to really think about it. I don't know, I'm going to have to try to fight him at long range and hope that my wind cannon can really do some damage along with my multiplying quirk. Mina gets an idea that hopes that will actually help the situation. Oh, why don't you use that gold quirk that you actually just took? I bet it would work perfectly for a good offense and defense. Izuku looked at her with a very small smile. It's not that simple. Every time I get a new power, I have to start from the basics and learn how to control it before I start using it in situations like this. I got lucky using that combination technique, along with also using connect the dots in the previous match before that one. If I continue to do stuff like that, I'll basically be sacrificing myself to my opponent. They both just sat there on the medical bed knowing that this next 30 minutes could end up being the last time we'll get to see each other. But the both of them hear footsteps as it reveals that Overhaul was listening to both of them. Overhaul shook his head in annoyance knowing that Izuku was being completely reckless. You truly are reckless, kid. You literally just got those two quirks and you're already trying to fuse them together to make new techniques that you don't even know what they're going to end up doing to your body or to yourself. Just by watching, I could tell that that new move that you used could have easily torn your body apart if it would have gone wrong. Izuku just shook off his comment. I don't need your lecture right now. I need to know how my friend's doing. Can you tell me his current status? As he tries to get himself off in the medical bed, but he ends up laying back down because his body was completely exhausted as he knocked the wind out of himself again. Overhaul just grinned as he watched. I feel like I've grown to like you, kid. You better appreciate my kindness because I don't give this to many people. Overhaul walks up to Izuku as he takes off his glove and puts it on his chest, making him disappear for a few seconds and then be reassembled. I truly hate this power. I wish that I didn't have to use it, but sometimes you gotta use things that you don't like to make sure that your dreams come true. Izuku was completely surprised as he felt completely better, and then looked over at Overhaul as he jumped off of the medical bed right next to him. What exactly is your dream? Overhaul hesitated for a second, not wanting to really answer the question, but decided to give an answer anyway. To get rid of quirks. They're a truly disgusting disease on this world, and I can't stand the thought of people who are going mad or power hungry, using their abilities to take advantage of others around them. In my opinion, I don't think that anyone's in their right mind anymore, but I have faith in you. I know that it's too late for me to turn back. I got too much blood on my hands, so please fix society and make it better for everyone. He then walks away before he could be asked any more questions. Izuku just smiled as he watched Overhaul leave. My philosophy on people keeps on getting stronger and stronger. The people here that I'm starting to get to know aren't all villains. It's just society decided to give them a bad hand, making them go through such hard things and calling them villains just because they decided to do something different. I truly believe that life is hard and has a lot of twists and turns in it, and nobody's going to willingly reach out their hand to help people unless you decide to do it yourself. Mina just smiled as she grabbed onto Izuku's hand. I wish we could save them all, but you heard him. It's too late for him to turn back, and some of these people don't even want to be saved. Izuku just nods his head at her. I know, but it doesn't mean I don't want to try. The intercom goes off again, asking for All For One and the Crimson King to come step out into the ring. Izuku gave Mina one last kiss as he went to the arena to go fight. As he finally got into the middle of the ring, he was looking for his opponent, but when he looks around, he finds no one. As a figure comes jumping down from the ceiling, slamming into the ground, making a massive crater in the ring. When the smoke clears, a teenage figure can be found. He had white hair with black streaks in the middle of it, while wearing a silver leather armor with black combat boots. His skin looked like it was bleached completely white, with a red tail swinging behind him as he has it smack onto the ground, making a small crater. So you will be the next victim of the Crimson King. Izuku raised an eyebrow, trying to hide the fact that he is completely terrified. Do you ever cut yourself on all that edge? Because I got a few paper cuts just looking at you. The Crimson King started laughing like a madman as he scraped his tail across the ground, making an ear-piercing noise. I don't know, why don't you go ask all my victims when you meet them on the other side? Izuku got a little bit curious. So, how many people have you killed if you don't mind me asking? He really didn't want to know, but his curiosity was piqued. The Crimson King got a wicked smile on his face. You'll get the answer to your question if you can answer this simple math problem. What's 1,000 minus 7? As he started to crack his knuckles, Izuku's heart fell to his feet and all the blood in his face seemed to disappear. You've killed 993 people? Don't you have any regrets about it? The Crimson King looked at him really confused by his statement. Of course not. Thanks to their sacrifice, I've become as powerful as I am today. And when I kill you, I'll become even stronger. Overhaul yelled out to everybody, "Let the match begin!" Crimson King takes no time at charging right at his opponent with his tail wrapped around his arm like a gigantic spike. Izuku tried to dodge out of the way but was barely able to, getting sliced right on his left side, causing a lot of blood to drip out. Izuku then tried to shoot him with the air cannon, but as soon as the burst went out, the Crimson King just slashed to the side. Izuku starts thinking to himself, this is going to be a lot more difficult than I thought. He's really fast, and if his tail actually makes his mark, it's going to kill me on the spot. He then uses wind pressure to get himself into the air, getting some distance distance from the Crimson King. As his opponent looks up at him, "Do you really think just because you can move around in the air that you're safe? You're so wrong." The Crimson King gets on all fours as he springs himself up into the air, slamming Izuku right back onto the ground with his tail. This is what happens when you're not afraid to kill. You're able to do anything that you feel like. Izuku coughed up blood, feeling like his back was completely broken. His whole body was shaking. He felt like he was going to black out as he watched the Crimson King get closer to him. "You truly are soulless." The Crimson King just started laughing maniacally as he picked up the small boy by his throat, holding him up like a rag doll. "You're right, and I'm going to truly enjoy killing you." Izuku coughed up blood in the Crimson King's face, blinding him for a few seconds, and with the last of his strength he used his arms to grab onto the guy's wrist, activating One for All to steal his quirk with the last of his energy. "You truly are unstoppable, so I can't let you go any further. If I do take your quirk with the last of my energy, so be it, but your power will be going with me." The Crimson King started to lose all of his strength as his tail disappeared, and he dropped to the ground, starting to hyperventilate like crazy. As he let go of the small boy, he hit the ground hard. "What did you do to me? Where is my power? It was the only thing that was keeping me alive, you fool." He started to cough up blood as he was convulsing on the ground until eventually he stopped moving. Izuku was horrified at what he just did, realizing that he just killed somebody. Seeing that his hands were covered in blood, he was completely shaking and wasn't able to stop it. Tears started to roll down his face as he realized the mistake that he made. "This isn't what I wanted. I didn't want to kill him. I just wanted to take his quirk away so he wouldn't hurt anybody else." He was able to get onto his knees in front of the Crimson King, trying to shake him awake, only for him to get more blood on his arms. Overhaul walks down into the arena trying to get the kid to stop. "I'm sorry this had to happen to you at such a young age, but it looks like he is your first death. It's going to be painful to deal with, but it had to be done, or at least so you could live." He then picked up Izuku, trying to help him get a hold of himself. "He's gone already, and you lived. You have to use this idea to fix the world so people don't have to suffer like this, or have to become people like him." Before Izuku could say anything else, a large explosion happened inside of the Fight Club, which had a bunch of pro heroes and cops fill the room. This shocked everyone as they saw All Might, along with Endeavor and Eraserhead, come into the room. All Might stepped forward with his echoing voice. "All of you villains should surrender now and come with me peacefully so we don't have to make this messy." But then he noticed his son standing in the middle of the ring with blood all over his hands, sitting next to the leader of this entire group, Overhaul. "Izuku, what are you doing here, and why are you covered in blood? Have my worst fears truly come to fruition?" The entire crowd of villains who were trying to evacuate then realized that they had the King of the Underworld here tonight, as they all started to chant "All for One" over and over again. Izuku started to freak out, wanting them to stop, but they all knew that if he was to go all out and use his full power, he could take down All Might. All Might truly raised his fist in anger as his smile was gone, staring at his son. "I knew it. My son died all those weeks ago, and you truly did take over his body and mind. Am I right, All for One? It's time I finally put you down for good." As All Might charges right at Izuku, ready to hit him with a full power Detroit smash. Izuku had tears streaming down his face as he knew he was about to die at the hands of his father, and there was nothing he could do. He was completely exhausted and beat up from all the fights he was in, so he decided just to accept his fate. "I am not a villain, father. I wish you would believe me, but I know you won't, so I have no regrets of what I've done. Well, except for maybe leaving those who trusted in me to lead them to a better life behind." Just before the Detroit smash could actually land on Izuku, Overhaul jumped in the way and took the full brunt of the punch, slamming him hard right into the back wall behind Izuku as he spat up blood. Izuku was completely in shock, seeing that Overhaul took the punch for him. While this was all happening, Mina was able to grab a hold of Shinso and get him out of there before they got caught, both of them knowing that if they went down there, they would only get caught or get killed by one of the pro heroes because they would think that they're villains as well. As they were running away from the Fight Club, they both had tears running down their face, saying one thing to each other: "We're sorry, Izuku. We'll make sure to live on in your legacy, and that we'll make sure that this world becomes a better place just like you wanted." As we go back inside of the Fight Club where the pro heroes and villains are fighting, Endeavor was completely baffled by All Might's actions. "All Might, isn't that your son? Why would you attack him with brute force? Shouldn't you be trying to get him out of here?" All Might didn't even bother to look at Endeavor as he continued to stare at Izuku. "That is not my son. The child standing right in front of us is a villain. Don't you see the blood covering his hands, Endeavor? Plus, another villain tried to save him." Izuku didn't even want to try to fight it. All he did was cry and was sad knowing that his dad had to be the one to finish him off. I'm not a villain. I really wish you would stop calling me that. I know the reason why you treat me like this is because I have the power of your long-term rival. I knew eventually you were just going to throw me away, so I just had to come here and try to get some strength so I could be able to defend myself. But I found out something even better than getting strength. I found out that most of these people aren't villains because they want to. It's because society threw them away and gave them a bad hand. They didn't have a choice, just like I didn't. All I wanted to do was become a hero and use this power to do good things. But look what I did. I accidentally killed somebody. I didn't want this. I didn't want to fight you. I don't want to be here. Finally losing the last bit of strength that he had, he dropped down to his knees and just bawled out his eyes with regret. As All Might was getting ready for another punch, Endeavor grabbed his hand, stopping him from doing anything. That doesn't sound like the words of a villain. That sounds like the words of a frightened child about to be murdered by his own father. All Might just yanked his hand away, getting ready to attack again. You don't understand, Endeavor. He's just using my son's voice and face to make you feel bad and pity him. Endeavor then stood in front of All Might, blocking Izuku from any form of attack that could come. I swear to you, All Might, if you attack this child, I will fight you to the death. I don't know what kind of issues you're having at home, but I don't feel like you need to take it out on your son for a mistake. At that moment, Eraserhead jumped down and got between All Might and Endeavor. All Might, if you bring any harm to that child, I will make sure that you end up in prison. I don't care if you're the symbol of peace. I will make sure that the media finds out about this, and there's nothing you can do about it. All Might just stared at the both of them with anger, clenching his fist. Fine, but I disown him. I want nothing to do with him. He is not allowed to return to my household or come near any of my family members. As he was about to walk away, he looked Izuku dead in the eyes. We are no longer family, so do not even bother trying to come home. But that's where I'm going to leave it off this time, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a very long one and very tiring. I don't think I'll ever want to do something like this again, so only on rare occasions or special events will I ever do it again. But with all that said, I'm finally done. Peace out. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.